The Columbus Crew have had a strange few days. We're going to go back to last Saturday when they played NYCFC to a 1-1 draw at home. Patrick Schulte had an amazing night at keeper in that match on Saturday. I do feel like that probably should be the main story from this match, as that was the most important on-pitch factor, but to be quite honest, we will get into the officiating issues, and the fallout from that I think has been a bit more impactful than the actual ref ball that was happening. Patrick Schulte, though, he did keep things scoreless into the second half. Pretty much the only reason that NYCFC wasn't up by multiple goals for the vast majority of this game. Then when it comes to the officiating, things started to get a bit crazy when Cucho Hernandez was hit with a red card, his second yellow card of the match, and he was thus kicked out, and which means he'll also miss the game against Portland. And then eventually NYCFC would cash in with a goal in the 75th minute with the man advantage. And it was a nice goal. And I do want to preface this by saying that when I talk about how bad the officiating was, I'm not trying to take anything away from NYCFC or how well they played or even how bad the Crew played against them. I feel like for most of the match, New York earned their lead. I feel like the Crew weren't playing up to their level for the majority of the match. It just so happens that multiple things can be true, that NYCFC was having a better match, and also that the Crew were being bad, and also just that the officiating was also heavily slanted in toward against the Crew, I should say. Again, I don't want to try to make it seem like New York City FC was handed the match, because I do feel like they were playing better than the Crew. It just seems like anytime the Crew were trying to get a little bit of momentum going, there would be some whistle that didn't make a whole lot of sense go against them and turn play the other way. Eventually, Nancy had enough. He would come out onto the pitch. He was given a late red card in the late 87th minute, and a Crew technical staff member was as well. And all of that hubbub would cause 12 minutes of stoppage time, and it also gave New York a two-man advantage. So New York had 12 men on the field. The Crew only had 10. However, the Crew would get on the attack in stoppage time, and Zawadzki would score the equalizer in the 94th minute. A bit of a flip of the script from what we usually see from the Crew. Usually it's the Crew with the one-goal lead that is blown in stoppage time or very late into the match. Very nice to see the Crew flip that script, especially given the circumstances of this match. And yeah, the crowd at lower.com was in full unison against the head match official. It wasn't just the diehards in the Nordeca that were, doing half-hearted chants at the guy. It was the entire stadium. I believe it was another sellout crowd, or at least close to, that was just on their feet in unison, just absolutely railing against the head official. So the game ends and the suspensions are handed out, because not only did Cucho Hernandez get a red card, it was Nancy and one of the Crew staff members as well. I haven't really seen anything as far as an official update on Cucho Hernandez, so I'm assuming they're just going to keep that official one-match suspension for him, so he will miss the next game on Saturday against Portland. The Crew staff member has been suspended 3 games for throwing liquid at and on an official, which, if that is what happened, again, I haven't really gone back and looked at it, but if there was some kind of liquid thrown onto the pitch and hitting officials, yeah, they should probably be suspended for 3 matches at least. I understand a harsh suspension and a harsh penalty for throwing liquid, no matter how mad you are at an official. Throwing stuff onto any field of play is definitely going to be a no-no, and it's going to invoke a suspension. So that staff member is gone. I know their name is out there on the official suspension report, but I do feel like it's kind of unimportant. But the suspension that does kind of raise my eyebrows a little bit is Wilfried Nancy getting an extra game. I believe the official wording was for not leaving the pitch in a timely enough manner or something to that effect, where they didn't like how he left the pitch, essentially, where to me it seemed like he got his red card and just kind of sauntered off and left the match eventually. I'm not really sure what led the MLS to say that not only was the one-match suspension upheld, which I understand. Nancy knew what he was doing when he was getting out there. He gets the red card. I wouldn't have minded a one-match suspension all that much, but the second match suspension really is odd to me, because I'm not sure what he could have done differently to avoid it. Maybe it was his post. Well, it couldn't have been officially his post-game press conferences, because the MLS said it was just his conduct on the field of play. So I'm not really sure what it was. Maybe if I'm pointed to something that he actually did. The reasoning was vague enough to where MLS can just kind of throw up their hand and say, yeah, he didn't do it he didn't leave the pitch the way we wanted him to, but it's not specific enough to where you can pinpoint any certain thing and say, oh, you're wrong, MLS. But it's just very strange that suspension was increased to 2 matches, which means he's also going to miss the Hell is Real derby in Columbus that's coming up on the 20th, which is definitely not good news for the Crew or Nancy in general. And a bit more of a not breaking news, but an update on the Crew as far as the transfer market goes. Center back Yevhen Cheberko was signed. This was back in June. I haven't caught up on that, so my apologies for that. He has not appeared as of yet in MLS. He was playing in the Croatian league. Center back has been a position that has been an issue for the Crew due to both injuries, and then the people filling in at center back haven't really been that good. So as a result, get a guy from overseas in the transfer window. The Crew's next game is Saturday away in Portland against the Timbers, and like I've mentioned a couple times before, no Cucho Hernandez for that game, and no Nancy either. So the Crew are going to be missing one of their best players and their head coach for their next game. It's definitely going to be a bit of a struggle there, especially when you consider it's going to be a 10:30 Eastern time start. So if you're willing to stay up, hopefully you'll see the Crew pull out another good result in spite of some difficult circumstances. That's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think about this situation down in the comments below. Thank you for watching if you made it this far into the video, and I will see you at the next one.